Hello and happy Monday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. As we head into the first week of August, people are getting ready to go to the beaches. Well, there's a situation down at Old Orchard that a lot of people say stinks. We will give you the details.
Plus, it's been kind of a deadly few years for cyclists and pedestrians. We're looking at the numbers and what they tell us.
Also, would you pay $1,000 for an iPhone? Seriously, we'll have a live guest.
This is News Center Now.
We begin with breaking news this evening. After just 11 days on the job, another person out at the White House. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. The announcement came this afternoon. Anthony Scaramucci is no longer the White House Communications Director.
Oh, no, I had no idea.
I think good riddance. I'm glad that lasted less than, what, a week or something?
I'm surprised it was so short, but the current administration is setting a trend for a quickly revolving door.
He's been firing pretty much his entire staff for the past, I don't know, since he came into office, so I'm not surprised.
It's time to get it together. It's time to get it together.
Someone close to the president confirmed Scaramucci's departure just hours after the new chief of staff was sworn in. Scaramucci was in the spotlight ever since he was tapped as communications director. You may remember New Yorker magazine published an interview Thursday in which Scaramucci went on a profanity-laden tirade against Reince Priebus, then chief of staff. This morning, the president may have tweeted a hint this was coming, saying in part, highest stock market ever, best economic numbers in years, unemployment lowest in 17 years, no White House chaos. Of course, we'll dig deeper into the White House shakeup and hear from Maine Senator Angus King about it tonight at 5:30.
Now to a possible solution to a nasty problem at one of Maine's most popular tourist spots.
Yeah, there are reports of people using the ocean and dunes as places to relieve themselves in Old Orchard Beach.
So why? Well, apparently because it's the public potties. They charge you if you want to use them. Not much, but it does cost money. News Center's Jessica Gagne joins us now live. Now, Jess, you found out there are actually quite a few places where you could use the bathroom, and it is for free. Is that right?
Yeah, there are thousands of people that visit Old Orchard Beach in the summertime on a day like this especially, and there are two city-run public bathrooms that you can use here. One of them is going to cost you 50 cents, but the other one is free. And of course, there are restrooms you can use in bars and restaurants and hotels, but those are reserved for paying customers. But there are a few places down here that you can pee for free. There's no charge for admission to Palace Playland, and it's also free to use the bathroom.
We're in the business of hospitality, and we have to show our patrons hospitality.
That hospitality also applies to beachgoers. The amusement park bathrooms are close by a beach entrance, and people in bathing suits are not discouraged from using the facilities.
They can go on the beach, come here, use the bathrooms, get something to eat, go on a ride.
But keeping up with the constant stream of users is no easy task.
It's a challenge.
Especially if your restroom is closer to the beach than others and can be used free of charge. This public bathroom maintained by the city is across the street from Palace Playland and costs 50 cents to use.
That bathroom stays open basically from first thing in the morning until 2 a.m.
Town manager Larry Mead says vandalism issues led to the decision to have an attendant man this bathroom at all times. The fee alleviates that cost and goes toward beach maintenance. Mead has heard some complaints, but says they are similar in number to the complaints he heard while he was town manager in Kennebunkport.
It's definitely an issue at any beach town.
Mead says if you're going to spend all day at the beach, try to pick a spot that's not too far from the facilities.
We have tens of entrances to our beach. The end of most of our streets that go to the beach is an access point, and we have people up and down our 1.5 mile length, so it's hard to put restrooms everywhere.
The city is also looking into putting porta potties into certain places, but they say they have to make sure they are anchored properly, again, because of vandalism. People could come by and tip them over. Now, the city also says if you do see somebody using Old Orchard Beach public lands in an inappropriate way, please call the authorities and report it. I'm Jessica Gagne, live in Old Orchard Beach. Back to you guys.
All right, Jess, thank you very much. Other news now, a man who was riding his bicycle is in critical condition after police say a drunk driver hit him and then left him lying on the side of a road. Investigators say 23-year-old Jonathan Menard was riding his bicycle on Bath Road in Brunswick late Saturday night when he was hit by a car. The driver did not stop. A short time later, Thompson police pulled over Kristen Phillips and say they were able to link the 35-year-old's car to the crash site. Police arrested Phillips, and she's charged with operating under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident. Menard is in critical condition at Maine Medical Center. We dove into the bicycle and pedestrian crashes last year, and so far this year from the Maine DOT, there have been almost 200 bicycle and pedestrian crashes so far this year compared to about 450 in all of last year. Now, when it comes to deadly crashes involving bicycles and pedestrians, there were 20 of those crashes last year, 6 so far this year. We wanted to know more about this alarming trend, and Amanda has that.
Thanks, Lee. So we are joined by Jim Tassi, Bicycle Coalition of Maine. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Let's start with some of those numbers. 2016, a particularly rough year for cyclists. What we're seeing is 4 deaths, more than 200 crashes. What can you attribute those numbers to?
Well, 20 crashes is bad. 4 bicycle crashes represents or 4 fatals represents a spike that's matched only by 2013. It's difficult to attribute it to any particular cause. I mean, distracted driving comes up, bad luck is something. I mean, it's difficult to say why one year is worse than another. Certainly there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that distracted driving is the biggest contributor to upticks in pedestrian and bicycle crashes, which is a problem nationally, not just in Maine.
As a cyclist, I mean, distracted driving, and even drunk driving, that's not really something you can really protect yourself from. Is that scary?
It is scary, and there are things that people can do to improve their situation out on the road. Certainly being visible when you're riding a bicycle or walking is extremely important. If you're going to be out after dark, wearing reflective material and lights can make a huge difference in how visible you are. Although the vast majority of crashes happen in daylight, some of the most significant and serious crashes happen after dark. So if you're hit after dark, it's often a bad one. So wearing lights, wearing reflective stuff protects you if you're walking or bicycling. Under Maine state law, if you're bicycling after dark, you're supposed to have a light on the front of your bicycle and a reflector on the back, as well as reflectors down by your feet. And we always recommend that bicycles and pedestrians follow the rules of the road. I mean, so for bicycles, that means always ride with traffic on the right side of the road. It means stopping at stoplights and stop signs. It means signaling your intentions and being predictable. And for pedestrians, it means using sidewalks if they're available. You should walk facing traffic if there's no sidewalk available. And statistically, you're far safer crossing in a signalized intersection than any other location. A lot of pedestrians don't know that if you're crossing anywhere other than a marked crosswalk, it's actually the obligation of the pedestrian to yield to motor vehicle traffic and wait for a safe place to cross.
You just kind of touched on one of the questions that we get all the time is, do cyclists have to obey the same rules of the road as motorists?
More or less, yes. So certainly when they're operating in the roadway, they should be driving with traffic. And we say driving, when we teach the kids, we talk about being a safe bike driver, because we want to emphasize that it's really got the same rights and responsibilities as the operator of a vehicle. So you ride with traffic, you obey stoplights and stop signs, you should be predictable, you should signal your intentions, and that's really as simple as simply pointing to where it is you want to go in many cases. The flip side, of course, is that drivers don't know how much bicycles are entitled under Maine law to use roads, and so often we hear people, or hear stories of people being told, get the heck out of the way. Mm-hmm. And often that is reflecting an ignorance on the part of drivers too. So there's blame to go around in these situations. Sure. For drivers, we like to tell them, if you encounter a bicycle on the road, think about what you do if you were to encounter a tractor. You know, you slow down, you wait for a safe place to pass, and then you pass.
Great way to look at it. Jim Tassi, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Lee?
All right, the Maine Board of Pharmacy is finalizing rules this week for people to get the life-saving medicine Narcan without a prescription. Lawmakers passed a bill last year making the overdose antidote available over the counter. Now, the board requested a few changes and legislators passed an updated version last month. The Maine Board of Pharmacy is creating rules for pharmacies dispensing Narcan. It's also setting required training for pharmacists and customers. Before you know it, the newest iPhone will have people lining up to get the latest gadget.
But before Apple was set to tell us about it, details have already been leaked. In today's Social Stop, how much the new iPhone might actually cost. Have you heard of the Extreme Eating Awards? I have not, but apparently they're a thing.
Why are you looking at me when you ask that question? What are you trying to say?
I'm asking you. Have you heard of it?
I thought I was looking, a little bit thinner today.
Listen.
There goes my self-confidence. The Center for Science in the Public Interest released its top picks today, and Erica Edwards shows us these meals are filled with calories and fat.
Most people wouldn't dream of eating 5 bacon double cheeseburgers from Burger King all at once. But at Buffalo Wild Wings, you'd consume even more calories by eating just 1 cheese-curd bacon burger and fries.
We're seeing high-calorie mashups from restaurants all over their menus.
The Center for Science in the Public Interest has released its annual Extreme Eating Awards. Winners include the Carnivore Pizzadilla from Dave & Buster's, the cheeseburger omelet with a side of 3 pancakes from IHOP, as well as Chili's Ultimate Smokehouse Combo.
All of the entrees we looked at have about a day's calories or more. That's 2,000 calories.
At well over 2,000 calories, the Cheesecake Factory's pasta napoletana is topped with Italian sausage, bacon, pepperoni, and meatballs.
These meals are extreme, but even the typical restaurant meals are a threat to Americans' health because they increase the risk of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease.
In response, the National Restaurant Association offered a statement saying the group has led the effort to implement a national standard for menu labeling so that our customers can make informed decisions on their dining choices. Dietitians say, watch out for portion size.
You don't have to eat the whole thing yourself. You can share it with other people, or you can bring it home with you and enjoy it, the next day.
The Cheesecake Factory agrees. A spokeswoman provided a statement saying, "We love it when guests share. That's a great sign that our portions are generous, and a large percentage of our guests take home leftovers." Erica Edwards, NBC News.
All right, some of that stuff did look pretty good. I'm just saying.
I'm getting a little hungry.
All right, curly hair alert. Humidity is going to make a comeback.
Yeah, Keith, not so great for the hair.
Hey everybody, in today's Social Stop, it was a game changer. 10 years ago, the first iPhone came out, and tomorrow it's expected that iPhone 8 is going to be at least released as far as the details of it. And we found out some things today that are very interesting, including the possible price tag. We're joined by Jared Maxfield from Necessary Technology. Okay, so we all have the internet. If you believe what it says, $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 for the newest iPhone, is that going to be a thing?
That's probably going to be a thing. I mean, if you look at how the iPhones have progressed in price over the last 10 years, they go up almost about $100 every year. We were buying $300, $400 phones, $500, $600. The natural progression puts them in that $1,000 plus category, and it's the anniversary edition, so they're trying to do some special things. But a lot of times we don't even pay it out of pocket. You know, the diehards do, but now they just roll it into our bill, and you see $35 a month, and no one cares about how many years it is. So a lot of us will actually probably pay more, unfortunately.
Well, and that was my next question, and I feel like I already knew the answer to it, but people are going to pay this. I mean, people are going to wait in line for the right to pay $1,200 for their cell phone.
Absolutely. Apple has spoken about in their last earnings about how the 7 didn't go as well as they'd like, because the big reasoning is a lot of folks are waiting for the 8 to come out. So, you know, a lot of people go 5, skip to 6, 7, or vice versa, and then skip a generation and wait for that 8 to come out.
All right, let's just agree for the sake of our discussion that $1,200 is way too much for any cell phone. I don't care what the cell phone does. That being said, what does this cell phone, what do we think that they're going to tell us this will do? We've heard some things that are possible.
I mean, we're probably going to have our standard things. Every time an iPhone comes out, the chip's a little faster, the camera's a little better. They're talking about infrared facial recognition. Some of the phones out these days, other carriers have facial recognition instead of putting in a password. The Apple one's rumored to be infrared, so it'll actually work better in low light. The glass, not having that big bezel around it, actually having the glass like some of the Samsung units kind of go and fold over the sides, which is cool. But then again, if you then put a case over it to keep it protected, which you probably should do with a $1,200 phone, you might not even notice that feature.
And one of the things that I read today, which would, you know, again, I wouldn't pay $1,200 for it, but at least I could see some value here, wireless charging. Is that something that's going to be that they'll talk about tomorrow, you think?
Probably, if that's something in there. I mean, and again, wireless charging still usually means there's a specific dock or something like that. We don't have electricity flying through the air yet. That'll be the holy grail of how we get out of being attached to cords all the time. But yeah, wireless charging, it'll be convenient and much easier and not always being tethered to our pacifiers, really. That's what the iPhone becomes at some point.
So about 20 seconds left, but so they did the 7 last year, the 8 this year. How much longer until, I mean, are they going to start to slow down a little bit, you think?
As long as people will keep standing in line for days at a time, I'm sure they're going to keep putting out something that it's going to cost a pretty penny. And, you know, Apple has more cash than a lot of small countries, and there's a reason for it. So
yeah, well,
they'll get you late, don't worry.
I wish I had been part of Apple. All right, Jared Maxfield, Necessary Technology, thank you very much for the time, guys.
Total truth. Total truth. You've already got the new one here.
No, I did go Android for a while.
You did. You tried.
Because I'm contrarian, and it was pretty good. But then I switched over. It's just easier.
Because everyone has an iPhone.
I went over to the dark side.
Yeah.
So the weather is very summery over the next couple of days.
Meaning some thunderstorms?
Yeah, some thunderstorms, but warm. But check this out. I don't know if you noticed this trend, Hill. Sundays have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like this is...
No complaints.
8 Sundays in a row. I compiled the stats. This is what the last 8 Sundays look like. Temperatures from 91 to 72, basically no rain for 8 Sundays in a row. Statistically, that's not going to happen too many times. I think we're going to do it again this Sunday. Do have some thunderstorms out there, though, right now, moving down 95 corridor and up across northern Maine as well. Nothing severe about any of these. A couple of these cells coming out of New Hampshire could be a little feisty as they move towards Freiburg, along Route 25 here back towards Portland's Gorham area, but overall these are going to be garden variety. Up towards Holton, same deal. Presque, some thunderstorms there, cloud to ground lightning for sure. That's part of a disturbance. That'll move through. High pressure builds in. I really like tomorrow. Tomorrow is a mostly sunny day. It's a hot day. It's not overly humid yet though, so it's really kind of that perfect summer day. High pressure tries to keep in control on Wednesday, but we start to see more humid flow getting in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into Saturday. So dew points now start creeping up for the middle of the week and into the later portion of the week. You'll feel that, it gets more uncomfortable, and that will eventually, by Thursday and Friday, lead to more instability and more thunderstorms around during that part of the work week. So tomorrow morning we start with clear skies, and I don't see any reason why not sunny through the entire day. Upper 80s away from the coastline, low 80s along the coast, upper 70s, places like Rockland, Bar Harbor, out towards Lubeck and Eastport as well. Wednesday morning we start with some fog. We burn that fog off though, and it gives way to a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, but the thunderstorm activity increases a lot more on Thursday, Friday, and then showers likely on Saturday. Just wanted to draw your attention to Tropical Storm Emily down here. It's not a big deal as far as its formation and its strength. I would argue that Florida sees a lot of cold fronts that pack more of a punch than this tropical storm, but it will be scooting out to sea here off to the north and east. It's worth noting, though, that tropical season will start really ramping up most likely in the next couple of weeks. Extended forecast, guys. Stop me if you've heard this before. Some showers possible Saturday, clearing and beautiful on Sunday. Now, it is a high-stakes Saturday forecast because it is the beach to Beacon. A lot of people are running that. I'm not writing Saturday off. I don't think it's going to be raining the whole day. We'll see if maybe the showers are on either side of the race. It will, though, be humid, uncomfortably humid, most likely on Saturday morning. So that's something to think about if you're running.
Yeah, not ideal for
Well,
that.
I mean, I was going to run, but now I won't.
You're out.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
you were
it.
going to run it
That-
twice just to
yeah,
see.
No, that was my decision made for me. Okay.
Just
well,
one time
There
now.
it is.
All right. Hey, speaking of, looks like the Summer Olympics will be coming back to LA for the first time since 1984. That was the first year of the women's marathon, and our very own Joan Benoit Samuelson brought home the gold. LA will reportedly host the 2028 games.
And we would like to remind you the 20th annual Beach to Beacon is this Saturday, but on Friday night at 7 o'clock, News Center will air a half-hour special, Beach to Beacon, a 20-year run. That is this Friday night at 7 o'clock right here on News Center. All right, you might have heard the term monsoon rains before. They can cause a lot of damage. Just ahead on News Center, Keith will be back to tell us why the name doesn't always fit when you're describing a downpour.
All right, today's Brain Drops is off a viewer question, and I should have written down the name. I got it on Facebook, but this guy was a Mainer who lives now in Colorado, and he said, how come they call them monsoon thunderstorms here when they're just normal thunderstorms, meaning the intensity isn't that strong? So that brought up a really interesting point to me, which is monsoonal rains have nothing to do with intensity. You know, people say sometimes it's monsooning outside, they use it as a verb.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the monsoon is a season. It's not a intensity of rain. And you obviously know about the one that occurs in India and parts of Asia. But they have one in America, they call it the North American monsoon, or more commonly, the Southwest monsoon. So the Southwest monsoon is what this guy in Colorado is dealing with. Basically, these semi-permanent features set up this time of the year. Usually July, August, and September is the Southwest monsoon. So a high pressure system starts to build in from this heat dome down across the south. Meanwhile, you get a low pressure system that's a thermal low because it's so hot in Southern California. This drives a circulation that basically grabs moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of California and funnels it together over this area over the southwest. So spots that are typically very arid down across Arizona and New Mexico and into Colorado all of a sudden now have a bunch of moisture in the atmosphere. So here's another graph to show you how much of the yearly precipitation comes from these couple of months of monsoon activity. If we have that graph, maybe we don't. But you would see that it's down across parts of Arizona and Southern California. They get about 60 to 7% of their precipitation in the 3-month period that is known as the Southwest monsoon.
So a monsoon isn't a thing? Like
monsoon
a tornado,
is a thing,
I mean,
but it's
a
not
thing,
an
right?
intensity.
Okay.
There's no such thing as like, you know, that shower is a normal thunder shower and that one's a monsoon shower. No, it's the whole seasonal variation is what the monsoon is. So it's not one of those things that happens sporadically. And there we go. This is the graph that I was referring to. So you can see the percentage
Better late than never.
of precipitation from the annual that occurs during these 3-month periods from all that moisture coming in. Obviously, Mexico is hugely impacted. But Colorado, people don't realize this, you know, east of Denver, that's desert. That's a very arid part of Colorado. Huh. So they get these thunderstorms as well. And it sparks a lot of their wildfires.
Really
if it's arid, is it extra dry?
Yes.
Okay.
It's extra.
I've heard that before, though. Like, people come in sometimes when it's pouring rain and they're like, it's a monsoon out there.
Right.
Yes.
I let it go, but now I'm not going to.
Good to know.
Anymore.
We won't. We'll
Shocking.
join you on that that battle.
All right, kids. News Center 5:30 starts right now.
Have a good night, everyone.